2, and we already had a fantastic best of 2 series between Unfat Ultimate and BKT, which of course resulted in a 1-for-1 draw, of course. And
That's right.
my name is Chris, his name is Flavors, of course. How can I forget to introduce us in?
Terrible.
So anyway, coming up very shortly will be Hanoi followers going up against Zotac 269 in another best of 2, of course.
That's right. Another best of 2, hopefully just as exciting. And you know what really makes me happy about set number 1 was the fact that it went in a draw, but it went in a draw in such a fashion, right?
Yeah.
Game number 1, we said, you know, very clean, methodical finish from the Ultimate Squad.
Yep.
Game number 2 is just an absolute bloodbath on the side of BKT because, you know, with the way it finished, not just 1-1, but the fashion in which it was 1-1, it raises this question for all our viewers and even us as casters, which is, who really was the better team?
Yeah.
Who really was the better team?
So it kind of just leaves it up into the air, and of course, it's just something that we kind of expected as well. Coming into group stage 2, we expected the games to be a lot tighter and a lot closer than it is.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a plain illustration of that. And the next one coming up would be Flowers going up against Zotac 269, and both of them finished second in groups C and D, of course, so they will be pitted on against each other.
Yep.
Question here is that, are they really playing on the same level here? Because
Yeah.
question is, when I was reviewing some of the games coming in, Zotac 269, they are one of the teams that just barely scraped through Group D, and question here is, are they going to be able to match up to the competition here? If you look at some of their past track records, they kind of drew against Colombo Hunters, who got knocked out, and in their own region as well, in the Vietnamese Championship Series, they are not too high in terms of the hierarchy. But then again, it's maybe not the best gauge because Alpha Ultimate is kind of mid-tier there, but they're performing so well in the GPL. So
Exactly.
it's kind of a very big question mark in my mind right now.
More questions.
Yeah, more questions. Hanoi Flowers, and yes, they did finish 3-2-1, similar score to Zotac 269.
Yeah.
But then again, they were placed against Saigon Jokers, Team Fat Rabbit, Juggernauts, all these teams coming into the mix here. So
That's right.
they're also the more veteran team in the GPL as well.
True.
So
True.
in that sense, that might play a part. So with these two teams coming in mind, I just have a lot of question marks in my mind. I don't know how this one's going to play out.
I think that's the way most splits start out for us, right?
Yeah.
And fantastic to see that we have even more questions after set number 1. Set number 2, I have to say though, I don't feel it'll be quite as uncertain. I'm inclined, even though we haven't seen these teams play for a while, to give the upper hand to Hanoi for Lewis, just because they are the more veteran team. So Tech 269, I mean, this is just a gauge. To be very honest with our viewers and even ourselves as we review and analyze games, the players from 269, sometimes it's hard to even remember their in-game tags, because that just shows that they haven't been making that kind of impact play. And that's different from Alpha Ultimate, where I go like, I can't quite remember their player names, but there's something about the team that you can immediately pin on.
Yeah.
Their strengths and team fighting objectives. 269, nothing comes to mind. Whereas for Hanoi for Lewis, they have that traditional, I want to say traditional, right, Vietnamese aggression. Sometimes it's too much, but that's something at least that they have a strength of their own. Whereas 269, it's hard to even say. Again, they're newcomers, so maybe we haven't had enough time to really sink our teeth into what it is that makes up 269, which is a very confusing team name too. Why 269? More questions, Chris. Will the questions ever end?
Yeah.
Will the questions ever end?
Well, to be fair to Zotac 269 in that situation, when I did live cast some of their games in the Group D games that they were playing, whenever they do get a hit, they do know how to close games out quite nicely.
There you go.
Yeah. But the question is that sometimes they struggle to get to that point, and that's where you start to see their indecisiveness sometimes, and it becomes a problem when you want to go into the mid-game team fight and stuff like that. Whereas for Hanoi Fluids, they are a bit more decisive when it comes to, okay, you know what, we are going to go in. It might be a bit reckless sometimes, but at least we're committed to that call.
Oh yeah, I think reckless is a good way of putting it. I mean, I've definitely recall a few Hanoi for Lewis games where they, I don't know, there's something about like going full Lewis, if that makes any sense. Like
it's kind of a term that the casters have. Whenever you see someone, there's a lot of terms in League of Legends esports, like pulling an insect, which is just
the Lee Sin kick,
the Lee Sin kickback, or pulling a Mad Life, which is like
the mad insane thrash hooks,
like thrash hooks or blitz crank pulls and stuff.
Yeah, but the thing about those, Chris, is that they are call-outs, they're shout-outs to insanely, mechanical or well thought-out plays.
Yeah.
When you go Fool Lewis. I'm not sure what exactly we're calling out, other than just a lack of discipline.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, we are going to go all in.
Okay, there you go. Just
Yeah.
go mad at the other team.
Yeah. And sometimes it plays out really, really well for you.
Wow, this team.
when you catch your opponents off guard.
Yeah.
But let's say you're going in an uphill battle, and let's say around the dragon area, you know, that's that hill, that slope right there.
Terrain, man. Geography
The terrain.
counts.
And let's say, you know, you're all charging up that slope and you get aced, and it's like, well, we just went full over and it didn't work out.
It's a term which has
Yeah, but I
so
do
many
love the
meanings.
team, though. Don't get us wrong. We love the team. We love all the teams
You know,
that's coming.
yeah, I think it's fair to say we love the teams. We just hate the way they play sometimes. I mean, obviously, we love the fact that, you know, we have professionals onto the team. But my goodness, if you're going to be professional, I think you allow yourself to be put under such scrutiny. Otherwise, you know, why are we even casting, right? Why are we even casting? But we want to see those plays where we're looking, though, at competition that is tightening, is closing in on one another, because we said we've cut off the bottom 8 teams, right? They're gone. You won't be seeing those guys for quite a while, guys. So what you're looking at, you know, necessarily is the top 8 teams. Now, whether or not they can push kind of the standards of what that means in the GPL, we'll have to see. So far, at least from the start of what we've seen today, it's looking good. It's looking good.
Yeah, it's looking very, very good. And let's see if Hanoi for Lewis and Zotac 269 will be able to replicate that sort of result coming into this one. And we are in the lobby, of course. We're waiting for the teams to go. And here we go into picks and bans coming through. Hanoi for Lewis is going to start on the blue side as well. So going to have that first pick advantage. There we go. And I see a few new names here.
Yeah.
Not just one or two, but a couple of new names here. King JJ, the new top laner for Zotac 269, and Big Scary is one of the other names.
That's right. I do not recognize Scary. It's interesting. Let's see if we can pull up any stats on him as we wait for the bans to come in. Interesting, a Hecarim ban comes in. Now that, of course, has been a pick that has grown in popularity massively in solo queue, caught on a little bit in other regions. Honestly, I have to say with quite poor track record. So I'm interested to see that ban coming out.
Oh, he's not entirely new.
Yeah.
Played into the later parts of the group stages, of course.
Yeah, so Scary has shown up on the GPO stage at least 4 times, according to our statistics, and has had not the best showing on them. You could say mixed results, negative KDA in pretty much most of the games he has shown up. But, you know, 4 games can't tell us all too much. We'll have to see. Rengar, the ban coming out now. Morgana, one of those champions I was talking a little bit about in the infographic before, that's been banned away. Jarvan and Maokai. Rather interesting bans coming out from both of these teams.
Well, I suppose, you know, taking away the Jarvan and the Maokai does make sense against
Yeah, those make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because those champions are just so good at forcing fights.
Yeah.
And that's what exactly, you know, Full always excels at. They are kind of the guys to, you know, go for the champions that can really force fights against you and then make the picks happen.
Sure.
So just denying that away, just a general good choice for Zotac 269, but there's still a lot left up on the board here. Rek'Sai is of course open, and even the likes of Fresh. But this time it looks like Hanoi Flores wants to go for a bit of a security here. Will take the Janna up the sleeves. So, you know, sticking to the tradition here, maintaining that pick and ban phase for Janna in this case.
Yeah, Janna, I mean, has seen such a high priority. I'm interested in how much of an effect really the nerfs or the retuning of her kit has had, just in terms of the way the interaction works, that you have to run towards her. But it seems that professionals so far aren't too fazed by that. I find that it's more a matter of time when teams kind of catch on to the visual cueing of when the particle, you know, is active or not, to recognize when that speed has kicked in, and then kind of seizing those moments. But as it's a very new change, perhaps teams and even just individual players are not quite ready to activate that kind of, you know, split-second decision-making. Fine by me. Zotac 269, they get their hands on, well, Leona's interesting and aggressive support, but the Rek'Sai, now this is quite interesting because these 2 picks should signal, you know, that go factor that we said Hanoi Fuluis goes for, and hey, now they have a jungler to do that for themselves too, right? That's quasi-global ultimate from Pantheon.
Yeah, and I kind of do prefer the Rek'Sai pickup from Zotac 269, and you saw how quickly they decided to lock that one up for themselves. And
that's right.
I think that's the reason why Hanoi Fuluis was taking such a long time to actually think about whether they really want to go for that Rek'Sai in that case. We did see King of War bring out that Rek'Sai game a couple of times during Group Stage 1, but wasn't all that impressive. So going to go for the Pantheon instead, maybe a much more secure in terms of the global pressure and
Yeah,
in
true.
terms of the the stun duration as well and everything, the turret diving potential. But I just feel like overall as a whole, Rek'Sai just has so much more to bring to the table. So we'll see how that one works out for them as Zotac 269 going to secure some power picks for themselves in terms of that Sibber and that LeBlanc. So
Ooh, very interesting. 269 pick, putting together quite the aggressive composition, right? It's champions that go in and don't necessarily come out. I mean, LeBlanc, you know, especially with the retuning of her kit, a lot of times once you go in, you need to get a kill. And yes, you can get out if you're tricky, if you're distortion, but Rek'Sai, Leona, once you go in, I mean, you're pretty much stuck in there for a good amount of time. I would like to see Hanoi for Lewis, if they were watching the previous game, do something similar like BKT, saying, if you're going to come in, let's get something like Lissandra in there, right? Their top lane pick is still good. You know, get that zone control, at least some form of it down. Maokai's not in there, Jarvan's not in there. Lissandra still is. Go for that. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
So the disengage is going to come in the form of Lissandra, like you mentioned, and Janna as well. So Hanoi for Lewis, maybe not, going for the same ham strategy that we are so used to. Maybe kind of refining their their strategy over the break. So it looks like Zotac 269 will be looking at their possibly the top laner here. So we'll see how that one goes. Yes.
Would that be top lane LeBlanc? I mean, they're hovering over Zeref now. AD LeBlanc? Oh man, I don't know.
Pushing it.
I don't know, man.
Sibber, I mean, Sibber is a perfectly great AD.
No, like AD top LeBlanc.
Ah, okay. Like kind of the AD Kassadin.
That was like a fad for a while. You know, it's interesting how much League of Legends mirrors real life. AD LeBlanc was a fad in the top lane for like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks of competitive play and like 3 weeks in solo queue, and then it just fizzled out. It died a quiet death.
It's kind of like Gragas support. It was a thing.
Yeah.
It was a thing for a while, but it's like
it's like for 2 weeks, somebody in your solo queue game will lock it in and be like, guys, this is OP.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
2 weeks later, you see the guy go back to something standard like Thresh, and then you go like, wait, what? Wasn't that the guy that was like Gragas supported OP? What made him change his mind?
That's why the meta game is always evolving.
That's right.
We have a very interesting matchup to kick off this best of two between Fu Lewis and Zotac 269. It's going to be double AP from both guys. Quasi-globals from the junglers.
There you go.
Heavy burst damage from the AD carries. And it looks like the only substantial difference is going to come in from the supports. One is a pretty disengaged and mage-type support, and the other one is just full-on ham.
You know, I'm scratching my head now thinking, is this the first time I don't think it's the first time I've seen that. I think this is the first time I'm casting a double AP against a double AP composition.
Yeah.
If it is AP LeBlanc in the top, which I still think is the safer choice. It might be. This will be interesting. I think this is my first time casting double AP versus double AP, and we'll have to see how the itemization really gets going. We've seen how double AD or full AD, it's just full armor. We'll have to see how double AP goes. This is interesting.
Yeah, it does look like Zotac 269. They are the ones who want to fight fire and fire in this case. Because they know for a fact that Fu Lewis is one of those teams who are prolific for their aggression, so they pick something similar in that case. And then just switching last minute up with that Zeref here, so just throwing a couple of spare parts for the equation.
Yeah, a bit of insurance in the long range, right? Because you have so many people going in, maybe you want to poke them down a little bit or have that insurance to say, what if we have to play back a little bit. So guys, champions have been locked in. Players will be loading onto the Rift. As we are on the Southeast Asia servers, we are working with a 3-minute delay.
Yep.
So we'll be bringing up some infographics to just describe to you how exactly the GPL has been evolving rather, as some of the top picks and top players. We'll get that on your screen. There you go. For the AD carry and support combinations, the most popular ones have been Graves and Leona, and I want to see more of that. It's been a lot of Janna this, Janna that, as you can see from the later two combinations. But Graves and Leona really is such a strong combination in their ability to just chunk out people. And you can see that their win rate is similar along with the next combination. Tristana and Janna, 50% there as well. Played 8 games, so, right up there in terms of the number of games played. KDA safer on Tristana necessarily, as she is safer farther in the back. Lucian and John, interesting to see that Lucian is still played a fair amount into GPL, given how, he's really not seen that much play anymore. It's really been Graves or some form of hypercarry. Lucian still has managed to find his way into a substantial amount of games here in our region, but you can see that the win rate does not match up, right? 42.85%. CS scores and all that, you know, minutiae, not all too important to get into. But what these combinations show is that Leona, something that 269 is bringing out, has her place among one of the, has her place among some of the top supports in this region. It's just got to be paired with the aggression. Sivir, not quite the lane bully. Can be. Not quite the same lane bully as Graves, though. I want to see how 269 plays this out.
Yeah, and I guess the reason why we do see a lot of the Graves, Leona, and the Tristana Janna combo just goes to show the diversification the teams have brought in because, traditionally back then, last split, if you think about it, in the GPL, there was a lot of team fighting, a lot of skirmishing that's going on. And then, teams start to develop this new style where they kind of rely on the bottom lane for the late game carrying potential. So,
That's
you
right.
start to see the Tristana and just throwing the Janna in to babysit her until she reaches that stage. But I just want to remind our viewers out there, of course, this is a compilation from week 1 to week number 8. So a lot of things have changed then. The patches have changed. So when we do get into the next stage of the competition after group stage 3, we might just see all this being shuffled and changed up in its entirety. So we'll have to look forward to that. And this is just extra information for you to consider. What's the kind of bottom lane duo that we will often see in the GPL, and we're gonna get to see one of those potentially. But it's gonna be the Sivir and Leona in this case.
All right, going to be interesting to see how exactly the teams play around then. And I have to say, 269, I like this kind of aggressive style. You called it fighting fire with fire against Hanoi for Lewis. And it might be it might be another bloody game, Chris, because game number 2, by any standard of the word's meaning, was hugely bloody, right? We saw 29-4 was the end game score in favor of BKT. I want to see, when we're talking about Hanoi for Lewis, a team that can be recklessly aggressive against 269, that has picked a composition that can go very aggressive, what kind of kills, what kind of action we have as we burst into this game.
Yep, that's right. And it is going to be Hanoi for Lewis starting out on the blue side. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Zotac 369 on the red side, of course. And if I'm saying this correctly, SOFM2, if he is none other than SOFM himself, we should have a very exciting game here.
Who is this SOFM2? Version 2.
Yeah, version 2.
New and improved.
Yeah. Of course, for our viewers who might not know SOFM so well, he's one of the most prolific mid laners in Vietnam. I believe he does have a lot of fan following as well, and in the right way. He's a pretty good mechanically sound player in his own rights. Not afraid to make plays. And we'll see if Beyond can match up to that sort of mechanic right here. I'm just really interested to see, this LeBlanc and Lissandra up in the top lane, how that would match up. Because we see a lot of that in the mid lane, right? And we see how that, in fact, affects the gameplay here, because both champions are pretty mobile in their own rights. LeBlanc can, distort over walls, and Lissandra can do the same thing as well. Similar kits here. But right now they are playing on the top lane. So kind of an island situation here.
Most likely just going to be wave clear of their abilities.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one pans out. And of course in the mid lane, then you will get to see this long range mate go up against the assassin in that situation. We'll see how that one pans out. But I do kind of prefer Full Lewis's double AP composition in this case, because both Ari and Lissandra can roll.
Very true. And of course the kind of crowd control that comes out on the side of Hanoi for Lewis. You have the just point and click, or rather the target selection of the ultimate, the Frozen Tomb coming out from Violet's Lissandra, the charm as well, whereas if you're talking about the Shocking Orb of Beyond, the Ethereal Chains coming out from King JJ, those can be juked around somewhat.
Okay.
So in terms of the pick potential coming up from Hanoi for Lewis, they have that in their favor as well.
Right, seems like there was a small lag issue there for Hanoi for Lewis in that situation. Hopefully that all goes away as both of them playing in the same country. As Heaven's gonna start things off on his Grom camp here, it seems, as compared to King of War, who will be starting on his red side jungle. Oh no, actually it was just Sheen as well as Seri starting things off, getting that extra bit of a
Alright, and I did mouse over the LeBlanc previously, and it is indeed AP LeBlanc, and not just starting with the Doran's Ring, the Masteries, as well as the runes. Ooh. AP. So we are definitely going to have a double AP against double AP composition. in the mid lane already, a bit of trading back and forth.
That's right. It might kind of work out in 269's favor here because Phantom does do pretty well against AD reliant composition. You know, every time you get the AD stuff, gonna block out a huge amount of auto attack damage here.
True.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one pans out. Oh, hold on, in the mid lane. SOFM going all ham on this one, and you know, we're just talking about this guy, how prolific he is.
Bro, SOFM 2, man.
SOFM version 2,
Upgraded.
Man. Upgraded and better. And getting first blood at the 3-minute stage, apparently. Great start for Hanoi Fluids in that case. We didn't actually see how that one panned out.
Yeah, I mean, Flash not used by either mid laner, so it seemed that SOFM 2 just having a go at Beyond and saying, all right, let's duel. Gentleman's agreement. Nobody flash away, okay? Nope, nobody flash away. You know, Beyond was a gentleman. He did not flash away, but he certainly lost out on the duel. Seems like he had to, or rather he tried to use his heal as well, but the Ignite of SOFM, I think, countered that somewhat. And nicely done, a very early solo kill from SOFM too.
Yeah, and interesting, you know, return items from Beyond as well. Instead of going for more pots, he decided to go for a very early pink ward and getting his own ward as well. So trying to secure some vision for his jungler in this case. Down the bottom lane though, we did see a lot of damage being dealt onto Celebrity at this stage. As here comes Surge on the back end trying to secure some damage. Now Celebrity taking so much damage. Shin on the back end does take 2 turret shots in the face. Has to be quite careful though. We did see King of War around the area here. Should followers try to commit to that one.
So it did seem that Shin, yeah, was trying to bait a little bit for King of War right there. And I want to talk a little bit about this Pantheon pickup and as to why it's seen such longevity in the GPL, our region here. Okay. I don't think I can talk about that right now. King of War does cross over a ward. And are they going to commit to the dive? Nice job.
Ooh, they're going to do that. Celebrity going to go down. King of War's going to go down to the turret though. And here on the back end, Scary's going to flash out of the way. Heaven's going to try to chase in onto the does have the red buff. Will he go for the Umburrow? Yes, he does. He's going to zero in onto Shin. And Heaven picks up the kill off of that. It is a 2 for 2 at this stage for Hanoi Fluids. That's up in the top lane. We did see Zotac. King JJ, the new top laner, doing some work here on this LeBlanc pick, taking down Violet in the background. As Beyond once again being forced to flash away from SOFM in this case, but Heaven is now around the background. Will he go for the pace fixer here? Does get that bit of damage. Nice dodge onto that Charm as well. Does not get the knockup onto SOFM though, so he's gonna live to tell the tale another day.
Alright, a little bit of a scrappy start from both these teams, and there was the trademark, you could say, over-aggression coming in from Hanoi Fluids, right? King of War, you know, he picked a very strange timing to dive tower. He had a bit of a window first, and it looked like, or it was correctly assessed as, you know, too risky.
Yep.
But then he goes back to the exact same scenario, or you could say a worse one, because now he's given them a window to ward, which they do, and to prepare, you know, with the likes of a TP or calling the jungler down, and then decides to commit, you know, to even lower percentage scenario. So definitely way too aggressive there, way too risky on the side of King of War's Pantheon. But yes, to talk a little bit about the Pantheon pick and why I think it's seen so much longevity in the GPL, it's because of the fact that the way in which the GPL teams often teamfight and scrap, at least for kind of the mid-tier or lower-tier teams, is that it's often a sloppy sort of engage. You know, it's not the kind of clean, you know, after the engage hits, 1 or 2 people die, which is something that was actually very surprising in the Alpha Ultimate game, right? With the Rengar pick, I think that's why it was correctly banned out by BKT, because in the GPL, we haven't seen that kind of crisp engage where after the engage breaks out, somebody dies within 1 or 2 seconds. You know, that kind of coordination, you know, has been lacking from the scene. And I think one reason why Pantheon gets away with still being picked is the fact that that delay, you know, when somebody dies means that the enemy team usually overextends, or the teamfight has a bit more time to kind of grow and develop, and then Pantheon gets away with being a pick. Unlike what you're seeing, you know, with the likes of, say, like a Vi or maybe even a Sejuani in some of the other regions, where you just get into the team fight right away. Pantheon is given a little more allowance, just due to the slightly more sloppier breakouts in terms of engage for the GPL teams.
Well, we'll see how this one pans out. It does look like it is Heaven that's playing the patient game here. Just looking around. And there we go now. They are going to go in onto Shinka. The Burrow doesn't come through. And Gro's going to get popped though. They are going to focus down onto Scary in this case. Well, Janna go down. Who's going to pick up the kill? And the Great Seeker does strike.
Oh,
Celebrity
man.
gonna chase into this one, but at what expense? Shin's gonna pick up the counter kill, but Heaven's gonna pick up the remaining scraps of the battle though, so it is a 2-for-1 in the end. But that could have been so much cleaner as up the top lane we did see King of War bring down King JJ as SYFN and Beyond trading blows here in the mid lane. So it is a 1-for-1 across the board here.
You know, price of donation. Whoa. That was kind of low.
I can still never get used to that.
Keeps me awake at night.
The void rush.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel the void rush to your head?
Sometimes it's scary, honestly. You know, it gets you. It gets you even when you're not playing the game. It's like, man, where's Rek'Sai? But what was I gonna say? Yes, the point on the donation, the cost of donation there was quite pricey, right? Quite pricey. It did in the end go over to Celebrity, but he himself fell. And in terms of the way the CS is matching up, you might think that it would have been just better to just get the kill.
Yep.
And stay in lane for the CS, right? But
right.
oh man, Celebrity just doing as a Celebrity does. Really love how Sir is playing this Leona. It's all about the aggression. They've got it this time. They're like, no more donate, no more donate. Yeah, that's right. I'm taking it.
Switch is gonna pick up that one nice and easy for himself. As Celebrity gonna pick up some CS here, kind of equaling things up here. But will they be able to capitalize, get the Dragon themselves? They are kind of moving towards that one. And Hanoi Full is actually quite far away from the Dragon Pit right now, so they might just get this one. So the great strategic move coming through from the Zotac 269, they must have refined some of the strategies of the break from the
Yep, a nice work by Shin to spot out at least the timing at which the Dragon was taken. So if anything, there can be a contest coming in the next time around in a timely fashion, that is. And I do want to say that Sir has been playing a fantastic Leona, right? I mean, it hasn't, again, been the crispest kind of engages, but when you have the Rek'Sai in your back pocket or backing you up, you can afford to just brute force it, right? Just lock down any single member. Ooh, diving onto Beyond right here. Charm actually misses.
Yeah,
and
brute force. They're going to brute force their way down onto Beyond here. Very heavy focus towards the mid lane, and ASOFM gonna get that kill off of that flash as well. So if anything, Followers has to really depend on SOFM now in this case.
Yeah, SOFM, you know, displaying his mechanical prowess right there. Not only did he manage to land his spells right at the very end of their range from his flash, but also cancelling the cast animation time of his... That's really loud. Louder than usual. Cancelling the animation time of the charm by layering it along with the Orb of Deception. So, clearly SOFM knows what he's doing, and Hanoi Fuluis wants to channel that power, you know, diving past even the tier 1. But my question to you, Chris, is with the amount of times Rek'Sai has visited bottom and kind of the reckless way Sir and Celebrity have been throwing themselves into action in the bottom side, with not much forward warding, would it not be more worth it for King of War to spend a bit more time there?
Well, the thing for Zotac 269 is that even though they have put so much effort down to bombing, if you look at overall the grand scheme of things, what's the key role of Sivir and Leona in a team fight? For Sivir is to pop on the hunt to enable your teammates, and for Leona is to actually start off the engagement.
Sure.
Well, you know, snowballing your hit means that you do get a bit more tankiness up your side. That's going to be about it. But for Hanoi Followers, what they want to do here is to actually play to the composition here, which is in fact to let SOFM snowball forward. As you can see right now, about 20 CS up and 2 kills ahead. Yeah. Finishing up that very early Morellonomicon. So if SOFM decides to start roaming, he's going to do a lot of impact towards the side lane here, which is, I think, ideally what Hanoi Followers wants. But they have to be careful not to give up too many objectives though, because if you look at what's happening on Team and Celebrity is getting all this C push up, and that might be a problem here. And like we see, here we go now, the roam comes through from SOFM. He's going to try to come in here for the rush, but it is 4 members now stacked up in the top lane for Hanoi Followers. They are going to concede this one. Celebrity still pushing down in the bottom lane though. They have sent Violet to deal with him for now, but I think that it's going to be a delayed 1-for-1 trade in terms of the turrets here.
A nice job by Hanoi Followers to get that tier 1 push going very, very early on. It looked like a bit of a preemptive... Oh, did we just see? Yeah, we did just see actually the man drop being used by King of War. Pretty much soloing out 269.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, Sir expending his flash as well to try and catch the members of Hanoi Followers under tower. Not happening, and you know what? Xerath suffers from this lack of mobility. You know, if his flash is down, pretty much the man drop can be used to land right on top of him.
Yep, and you know, you gotta consider for the fact that Zotac 269 had the freedom to pretty much choose anything they want for their mid laner or slash top laner choice here, because they were hanging on to that Xerath pick until the very last stage. And
Yeah.
whenever you are on the red side, your last pick often is kind of like your trump card or your hidden strategy right here. So far it's not
You're
paying off. Beyond's just suffering the hands of SOFM, of King of War right here. So we'll see how that one pans out. SOFM here, very confident with his abilities, decides to go for the 13th minute.
Alright. I like the confidence. I like the confidence. I like how SFM has been playing so far. Really establishing his dominance in the mid lane. And you're right, in terms of the last pick, strategically, it should be something on the level, or at least you want to aspire towards, you know, the BKTG for last pick Cassiopeia, especially since all the bans were leveled at him. And that just gives your team so much confidence, as well as, you know, shakes the enemy team up a little bit. But so far, beyond, Xerath has been lacking.
Yeah, it's been lacking pretty much. 30 CS down now against SOFM in the mid lane. The thing is that down the bottom lane, they still have a couple of kills given over to Celebrity as well as Search, so hopefully that one is going to help them pull ahead when the team fights do come along. And even in the top lane as well, we do see King JJ pulling out slightly ahead as compared to Violet at this stage. And we all know how disgusting a fat LeBlanc can get.
Interesting, just kind of a small point on the item build of Violet. He is going for the Rod of Ages, which is, you know, a good item on Lissandra, but this is something that if any of our viewers have questions about, why is it that he doesn't just complete the Catalyst first? Oh, it gives you such strong laning, sustain. You know, the Blasting Rod with the raw damage it gives you, that gives you, you know, lane presence more so than just lane sustain. It gives you that ability to threaten with your all-in potential. So for all of you that are looking to rush the Rod of Ages, it's something that you can consider, right? Getting the Blasting Rod first to give yourself a bit more threat in lane. That's something that some of the professionals, you know, have been discerning about in terms of the item build. Do I need to sustain more, or is it more valuable to have, you know, all-in threat? And that's why he's gotten the Blasting Rod first.
Yeah, and the thing I realized about Lissandra as well is that... Oh, hold on there. In the mid lane. There we go. Give him heaven and back to farming.
The farm alarm, as Hungry Kid likes to call it. Yeah.
They don't as well. Both of them like to call it the farm alarm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I call it the void submarine rush, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever floats the void submarine.
Whatever floats your boat submarine.
Actually, you know what? I don't want the void submarine to float because it's supposed to be in.
Yeah, that would be a pretty crap submarine.
Yeah.
It's terrible, actually. We'll see now, though, because as we talked about... Oh, okay.
On back, man drop back on the background here. King of War gonna focus down to Celebrity, but on the back end, Search taking so much damage, and the Spirit Rush now comes for it for SOFM. King JJ in a lot of trouble now, and she's gonna try to finish off King JJ off of that last auto attack, but that was unfortunately only the clone. But it is in fact gonna be a 1-for-0 trade here, and a lot of members being quite low on the side of Zotac. So Fullowist is going to capitalize. They will take this dragon for themselves.
I love what Shin did as well with his collateral damage. You know, it's very unselfish play. Just saying that, yeah, it's not going to kill anybody, obviously, because they're at full HP, but they're all clumped up now. Pantheon's about to drop in, Lissandra's about to hit them with her combo as well. Just unload that great amount of damage, and you can see, even though I don't think they got any kills from that. Oh, they got one kill onto Sir. Yep. They didn't get any kills on the members that were bunched up. They zoned them so far away from the Dragon Pit. You know, that the team fight was so split up and so easy for Hanoi Full Lewis. Credit to 269 to not drop all too many members though, and in fact reply with the tier 1. So definitely keeping their head in the game. And
whoa!
Okay.
What happened?
Double kill, man. What in the world? Man, I don't even...
It's the custom.
Why?
Yeah.
That's the... They just went full Lewis, bro. Didn't even need to see it.
Well, that was just full Lewis for you, man.
Oh, man.
And I was about to praise SFM off of that last dragon fight as well.
I know, right?
Yeah, I was about to say that he did a pretty good job by spirit rushing past the blue buff. And hold on, in the mid lane, we do see Shin just getting collapsed upon by Berserk as well as Heaven, of course. A lot of knockups and stuns coming Shin's way, so he had no way to get off that one. So pretty nice pickup, much needed pickup for Beyond as well. So 269 here, even though they kind of had a little bit of hiccup during the Dragon fight over there, but still firmly on the ground with 2,000 gold lead, 2,000 gold lead in their pockets.
All right. A good sum to work with then, sitting at around 17.5 minutes into the game. 269 have so far either weathered the aggressive storm that is Hanoi for Lewis's playstyle, or you could say capitalize very, very heavily on some crucial mistakes of Hanoi for Lewis. I mean, the double kill in bottom, diving the tower stands out.
Yeah, I mean,
because
you know, the Magi's,
man,
the 3-stack value Magi's.
3 stacks, baby.
3 stacks, man. Not quite the 20, but 3 stacks.
You gotta start somewhere. And buddy, you started at 5, and now you're at 3. Alright. So, they will get the mid lane turret, I believe. That will make the turret score 2 to 3. But look at this. There is not enough pressure in the top lane to dissuade 269.
Yep, they are gonna pretty much pick up this one for free, but how long can they actually bait them into this one? Looks like it's gonna be a hit and run situation. So they're already gonna pop on the hunt, and 269 is gonna disengage off of that. So they will treat a second tier turret for the first tier. I think any team is gonna take that trade any day.
This is quite interesting because, you know, initially, as we were in the pregame and I was discussing, I would give, you know, I feel more inclined to give Hanoi for Lewis the upper hand. And of course, this game isn't done, but some of the patterns in Hanoi for Lewis's play, I think, are starting to become perhaps more evident to 269, and they came into this game, I believe, prepared, not only with the composition, but their playstyle as well, saying that if you're going to come at us with aggression, you know, there's 2 ways you can be really effective, buddy. Either deflect it or you just answer it back and surprise the team by being even more aggressive. And so far, they've actually done both of those, right? They've said, you can come and fight us, and we have the tools to control you, or we can be aggressive with our own composition and find kills of our own. So it's a decently bloody game, right? 17 kills, about 19 minutes, and almost a kill a minute. We'll see, though. Dragon doesn't spawn for still a few more moments. I believe the timer is about 2 minutes plus on that. And some of the things are shaping up quite nicely for 269. Sivir will get that second core item. They've already got the Randuin, so that teamfight presence on Heaven is going to grow. And that Magi is, like we said, that's actually starting to bite SOFM quite a bit because he's nowhere close to his second core item.
I feel like that's actually the big missed opportunity for Hanoi to win that game. Scary gonna find himself in a bit of a scary situation as he's gonna get taken down so quickly by King JJ.
Do you think he had time to be scared too?
Well, I think he was like, what just happened, man? If I was him, I was like, what just happened?
Oh no!
SFL gonna get locked up. Some more measures that gonna get dropped right there. King of War gonna get taken down one by one. Everyone from Hanoi Police are just dropping like flies. As Sheen and Violet are gonna be the remaining 2 members here. They are gonna back away from the second tier turret though.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be sloppy with your positioning, even under a tower in a 5v4 situation, I think that, you know, any team, and 269 did a good job identifying that, saying, well, sloppy, really sloppy. I mean, Sir, as his playstyle, even in the laning phase, indicated, saying, you know, when we have the numerical advantage, you know, Rek'Sai 3v2, now in a 5v4 situation with everybody to back you up and better items, oh yeah, I'm going in for sure. And Hanoi for Lewis, especially SOFM, you know, really wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, and I really do think that with SOFM picking up the early measures was a huge missed opportunity because you can sort of notice that he was the one to get a lot of resources channeled his way. And if you think about it, with that gold that he spent, I believe it's 1,002 for the Magi's.
Yeah.
If you pump it a couple of 400 in, you get the Needlessly Large Rod, which is a much more consistent AP giver.
Yeah.
So right now he's just struggling to keep that item in, you know, the values range, and it's not hitting that point. And at this stage of the game where everyone else on Zotac 269 has sort of outscaled their opponents, it's very hard for you to try to take them down. Very, very true.
So folks, if Chris was coaching Hanoi for Lewis, he'd have some harsh words for SOFM. And definitely, it looks like to be harsh outcomes for SOFM and Co as well as the goal lead starts to expand. just about 2 minutes ago, it was only about a 2,000 gold lead. Well, maybe not 2 minutes ago, but just a few moments ago, it was only about a 2,000 gold lead. Now it's jumped to about 4,000, and the Dragon buffs the objective so strong. Could this be the bait and perhaps a bit...
I do like this play though. I really like this play.
Yeah, we talked about the catch potential that Hanoi for Lewis has, right? But the Rek'Sai, counters that somewhat.
Yep.
And yet another free push. Uh-oh.
They go down Grand Skyfall on the back end though. Where are they going to go for this one? Circle on the back, making a lot of damage. Heaven's going to be the first one to go down. And X4FM is going to take that one up to Jungler for Jungler in that case, but it is Zotac 269 that did take a bit more damage off of that one. So it is a good opportunity for Hanoi to sort of try to capitalize.
So that team fight is a good example of what I would consider as the split focus of 269, and it displays what I was talking about earlier about how 269 had been dealing with the aggression of Hanoi for Lewis, which is they picked either the strategy to deflect the aggression or answer back, with more aggression of their own. And what you saw right there is 2 members went in very aggressively, and 3 were like, no, if we stick together and we bunch together, we'll survive the initial onslaught, which they did. But then the 2 members in the front, just didn't fare so well. And as a whole, despite the lead that 269 has, because they had a split focus, they weren't on the same page as a team.
Oh, King JJ is gonna go ham to Violet though. Deals a lot of damage down to him, but
yeah,
doesn't quite finish. And about your point, I think it's
okay.
Nope.
Flash as well.
Nope. Okay, yeah, the flash. Save the flash. And that's kind of bringing back to the point that we're talking about in the pregame. They do know how to close out games for Zotac 269. The problem is that they struggle to keep that lead.
Interesting. All right, so far they're looking good. I mean, to be fair, Hanoi for Lewis has given them a lot of these openings onto the tier 2s, but at the same time, you could say 269 is not waiting around or not slacking when they see those opportunities. They say 2 or 3 members in the mid lane when they have their own minions pushing up to a tier 2 at top. They're like, well, what's Hanoi for Lewis doing there? 3 tower right there. So sloppy engage in the mid lane for them. They say, all right, we made a bit of a mistake there. We can come back, and they get the tier 2. After bullying out Violet a little bit with King JJ's aggression. So far so good, and that's why they've jumped up to this tower lead. 4 towers ahead, 24 minutes, looking good for 269.
And Hanoi for Lewis is also at a stage where they need to pull off something desperate if they really want to come out ahead against the Zotac 269 squad here, because Rek'Sai is just going to get more patchy as the game goes by, and Celebrity has already hit a top fight stage with the Infinity Edge and the Static Shift as well. So that's something that Hanoi for Lewis really needs to do. They have a lot of jumping potential, from both Ari and from the Lissandra and even from Penta as well. But I just don't see that being utilized on their end.
Sure. And because the game has been quite scrappy and back and forth, just to ground our viewers a little bit more in some benchmarks that you can use to kind of keep track of really the differences between the two teams. I think Rek'Sai is one of those characters where you can see he has gotten that team fight item in the Randuins, but on top of that, against the double AP composition, the makings of the Locket are already under the way. So once that item has been completed, you can really tell that 269 is more than ready, if they aren't even ready now, to be much more aggressive with their play. But it looks like Hanoi for Lewis actually wants to go in. A fantastic ultimate coming out from Violet to lock down all the members. This is looking good for Hanoi for Lewis. So far, they've already taken down 2 members. That charm just blowing past Celebrity by a whisker. My goodness, Hanoi for Lewis finding it in them to find pretty much the absolutely perfect engage at the steps to their base. My goodness.
Yeah, that's right. And it looks like this time around it was Zotac 269. They kind of over-committed to that push towards the mid lane, and you need to remember at the end of the day, when you do go for the team fights, Beyond is one of those guys on the Zerah pick. He needs to stay far away from the team fight in order for him to do effective damage. And the problem with Zotac 269 in that case was that they tried to force a fight that they could not take. So they paid with it for 2 of their members right there, and it gives Hanoi for Lewis a fresh breath of life.
That's right. Something to point out as well, when you on your point on them starting a fight that they could not take, was that number one, it was of course at the base doorstep, right? Just very hard to actually break past those steps. But on top of that, King JJ's ultimate has changed to the distortion now. But at the end of that fight, I think one of the signals to Hanoi for Lewis was the fact that he had used his chains after his use of his first distortion, meaning that the next skill that was lined up was Ethereal Chain, right? So not a double distortion available to him. And if that was the case, you know, I'm giving Hanoi... Just a bit of a teleport coming in. Flash knock up!
Yeah, SFM in a lot of trouble, getting taken down by Beyond as well. The max range right off the arcane take him down. Scary goes down as well. And it looks like Zotac 269 over the extended fight managed to take down the two members. And let's see what they make out of that. Dragon, unfortunately for them, is only up in about 30 seconds, but looks like they want to tunnel down into the Baron, it seems like, or at least challenge for the vision in that area.
So King JJ definitely having a good showing for himself. I do want to say it probably was his mistake using that chains after the distortions that let Hanoi for Lewis jump into the middle of the fray. There is of course the ward spawning out 269, which they're a little bit sloppy about. But the solar flare! Oh my goodness!
Look at how quickly King of War just melted and taking out the jungler.
What?
Off of that one, Violet was the steal coming through from Violet.
No way.
That's gonna save Hanoi for Lewis right there. He did go down in the process, but what a fantastic steal from Violet.
Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous.
You know what I feel like in that series of events? It felt like Zotac 269 was baiting King of War to jump onto the Baron.
Because they didn't clear the ward? Or they did not sweep that portion?
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to bait him into that one. Because the thing is, think about it. If you're King of War in that situation, what would you have tried to do?
You ulted.
Yeah, try to make a steal.
Yeah.
Jump in for the Grand Skyfall, and Zotac 269 is like, alright, he took the bait. We took him down. There's no smite, and Violet got the steal.
That's so meta, bro. That is so meta. Hanoi for Lewis pulling out the hashtag next level plays.
No. Hashtag fuck life right there.
Thug life was just like, who needs smite to take Baron?
Violet didn't choose the fuck life. The fuck life chose him, man.
Oh my goodness, that was pretty gangster. That was that was pretty boss. I just can't believe it, because eliminating the jungler, it's almost a gone case where you go like, all right, there you go, there's your Baron secure for you, but I guess they didn't calculate that Violet would be able to sneak in with his glacial path. And
well, to be honest, we could have been luck as well, but it was just...
No, but they had the numbers advantage as well. Not only in terms of champions, in terms of smite. Like, let's be honest about it. They had the smite advantage, they had the numbers advantage, and they didn't see the Thug Life coming. Alright, nobody was ready for Thug Life, man.
No, nobody was just ready for Violet.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, quite a turn in our storyline then, where Hanoi for Lewis, for all it was them being set on the back foot for a large majority of the game, 269. I mean, you talked about how they struggled to reach that point about closing out. It seems like they've made a little bit of a blunder in closing out, after getting themselves to that position where it seemed quite simple. The game is suddenly a lot closer. Much, much closer.
Yeah.
The tower score as well was even in just that short span of time. They got 2 towers, so from 2 towers or 4 towers down, they're only 2 towers down, Hanoi for Lewis. And from 5 or 6,000 gold down, now they're only 2,000 gold down with 4 members strong with the Baron buff. So this is a
pretty interesting situation.
Ridiculous turn of events.
I feel like what Hanoi for Lewis needs to do now is to repeat what they had in the mid lane, which is try to make Zotac 269 fight them in a situation where they can actually zero in on the Beyond, but looks like that's not going to be quite the case here, as Violet's going to be the next focus right here, and then he's going to go down as well. So very unfortunate situation, not too sure what actually went through the minds of Hanoi for Lewis there, but that is 2 members down with a 30 seconds gap timer here.
Yeah.
Wave is not quite pushed in the favor of Zotac 269, but I'm pretty sure they can at least try to challenge for the inhibitor.
It's something that I do have to be critical of the GPL teams of, my criticism rather is that we have to be very critical of GPL teams, especially with regards to counterplay or playing around in the Sivir. So what was the trigger right there was that okay, I'll have to hold my thought because Grand Skyfall's coming in.
And as well, they're gonna focus it down onto Cirque in this case. The Monsoon gonna blow Cirque away once in a while. Feels like that happened.
Have we seen that before?
Yeah, we did, but we did see this one coming as Leon picks down Sheen on the back end. SFM rejoins the battle right here. Gonna try to Spirit Rush in onto this one. Beyond's gonna go down. Definitely that case here as Violet gets the shutdown goal here. And once again, Hanoi Louis defends the mid lane turret.
Yeah. A good job by the Grand Skyfall from King of Warren. I think we do have to be a little bit critical of 269's warding, right? Where they don't ward. It's hard to ward against the Pantheon's ultimate, but the fact of the matter is, you gotta cover your tracks as you head towards the base. You know, I mean, for goodness sakes, he was killing a minion. He was killing a minion. There was vision of him, so the possibility of him just dropping into your backline or just dropping down was a very real possibility. To be fair, I want to give them the benefit of doubt that they were ready because they threw a lot of stuns, you know, preemptively right as he was about to drop. But it wasn't all on the same page, right? We saw King JJ once again kind of using his distortion a little bit off, not quite at the right timing. Beyond wanted to just throw in a stun and then back away. Sir said, no, I'm going to go in with my cloud control. This is what has been losing 269 some of these team fights, just not being on the same page. And we're seeing that, you know, crucially in the late game where these kind of mistakes are really going to cost you. But my point again on, you know, just lost my train of thought. You know what? If I get it, I'll get to that point because it was quite a good thought, but I just lost it, man.
Because we just get rain cards, you know?
What was that? Yeah. I'll get it. Oh yes, my criticism of GPL teams playing against Sivir. Right, so the trigger for SOFM as well as Violet getting caught out was simply too many members showing top. In fact, one member top for experienced, confident Sivir teams. They know that they have a 5v4 unless that member has a TP or a Grand Skyfall, and it was Shin top. There's no way he can get to mid lane, you know, just as fast. The rest of Hanoi Louis absolutely could not have afforded to keep pushing up the mid lane with one member top, you know. Sivir teams, especially confident professional Sivir teams, will absolutely just activate that ultimate and rush you down.
Yeah.
And too many times, that's happened twice this game. SOFM and somebody else has gotten caught out.
And we might just have hit a critical point in this game yet again because I just want to quickly point out the item build coming through from Beyond right now. He has finished up the Zhonya's Hourglass. So
oh, yes.
Yeah, you know how previously we were talking about choose a fight where you can win at close proximity and then try to burst Beyond down because it's the main source of damage. Scrap that because the Zhonya's Hourglass is going to provide so much disruption. It's going to foil a lot of Louis' plan right here. So we'll see how this one's going to work out for Zotac 269. The problem with them is that they've always been trying to, you know, focus down onto the mid lane, second tier turret, but it has always been Louis in control of the side lane brush control. Side lane brush. Side lane minion control. So their side lanes are constantly pushing in their favor.
Yep.
That's going to bite them in the behind if they don't watch out for that.
Very, very true. And it seems like Hanoi Louis working that side lane game to its maximum potential. Both top and bottom are pushing. And while the Spirit Rush is down for SOFM, the flash from Beyond is down. A good thing then that he has that Zhonya's that you were pointing out earlier, Chris, because he's in a very vulnerable position without that flash.
Oh, he's out of position as well. So I think Zotac 269 definitely is going to pull off of this one. Because right now, you know, the minutes are just knocking on their second
Oh, there we go. That's the split I was talking about. It's 2 members on one side, 3 members on the other.
Oh.
This is going to be Hanoi Louis.
That's right, sure. But Shin on the back end though, getting focused down. King JJ takes up the kill onto Shin. King of War in the middle of everyone from Zotac 269. Is he going to survive? He's still taking a lot of damage though. He's going to go down. And right now, it is going to be the right of the Arcane raining down onto SOFM. Heaven's going to try to chase up onto him, but it looks like they are contented with what they have.
Oh,
with the 3v0.
really?
Terry, oh no, not quite getting the final tick of damage onto King JJ.
Oh man.
SOFM. Oh!
The humanity of it all.
The arm of deception getting him down as well. So in the end, a 4-for-1 exchange here, but will Zotac 269 finally capitalize off of that? It is the numbers game now. Shin is only going to come up in about 5 seconds or so, and they do open up the mid lane inhibitor for their taking at the 36-minute mark.
I just have to say again that Hanoi Louis needs to catch on, and many teams, you know, so to be fair, but since we're watching Hanoi Louis play, they need to catch on to the fact that they can't afford to split against a Sivir and a Leona team comp, by the way, you know. Tons of easy engage to just get the Leona into position, not to mention LeBlanc and Rek'Sai. I mean, even the Sivir alone, you have to be very, very critical of splitting off your team. This is a nice move from Hanoi Louis, but it's a small window, and it feels a little bit like desperation. We'll see if they can get it down.
Yep, we'll see though. It's at half health here, and Zerg is coming in on the hunt. And here comes the solo grab. Perfect! Landing onto 4-man. They are going to turn the fight around. And Baron, who does it go to? It does finally go down to full Lewis here, but Zotac 269, they are still on the chase though. It does look like it is going to be a 1-0 trade so far, and Obi gets some more coming through. Celebrity picks up the kill onto Violet in this case, and in fact, it is still Hanoi Full Lewis that comes out ahead with a 1-for-1 trade and the Baron buff.
Yeah, you know what? That's the time where we could say they went Full Lewis, and it's an admiration, right?
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out so well.
That was so close. That was so close, especially with the Void Rush, right? It was a very, very small window. Hanoi Full Lewis had to absolutely all be on the same page, and you know, it's just the same mistake from both teams. You know, 269 has been losing fights when they split up. You know, Hanoi Full Lewis has been losing fights when they split up and then they get Zerg rushed by the composition of 269. Both these teams playing around each other's mistakes, which is, you know, splitting up. But Hanoi Full Lewis seems to be a little more, you know, clutch. I think we can use that term. Twice now they've gotten that Baron in quite, you know, improbable situations. The first one absolutely ridiculous. The second one it's still quite gangster, right? It's just I dare you, come on to the pit. Because they were still fighting in the pit, right? It was 50-50. Rek'Sai was in there with his smite too. But you know, credit to King of War for getting that for his team.
So with that, at the 38-minute mark, there's only about 1,000 goals separating these two teams, and it's pretty much safe to say that it still will go anyone's way here when they do.
It's crazy to think that. You know, if you had told me that just about maybe 10 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, I would be like, nah, bro. Like 269 has got this. But once again, the towers, well, it's still only a two tower lead, and of course the mid lane has been cracked. Somewhat open in terms of the inhibitor turret is lacking, but the Baron especially, that gives HFL so much confidence. The goal lead as well has narrowed, and importantly, in the 40-minute mark, that doesn't matter all too much. So it's even it's kind of a bonus that they managed to close the goal lead right there.
That's right. So it all means that it boils down to the vision game here for both teams, and who can find better exploit to work with when it comes to the next team fight that comes up, because the next team fight could potentially end the game, or if not have a huge detrimental effect on how the structure progression will go. HFL might finally, if they do take the next team fight, they could finally, you know, bring down a inhibitor of their own to sort of counter balance out with what Zotac 269 did in the mid lane.
Very true, and I checked the Dragon stats from both of these teams. 3-3 apiece this game, so very, very close. Of course, two Barons have gone over to Hanoi Full Lewis, but if you think about it, rather, one of them should have gone over to 269, right? So really, in terms of the meta objectives, right, the Dragon and the Baron, both of these teams are very equally matched. Oh, Shin, be careful! Shin, be very careful, Shin! Oh, are they gonna go for this? So aggressive!
Oh my goodness! Violet just getting caught out in the middle of everything. Beyond's gonna try to zero in some damage down. Sheen on the back and getting taken down by Celebrity. SFM running for his life here, but he's gonna get taken down. There is the double kill going over to Beyond, as Heaven's gonna try to chase down a lot of pings now into the mid lane here. That is the only lane that they can try to bring down here. And like I mentioned, Hanoi Full is just so good at the side lane minion wave control right here. Even though in the mid lane they do have an opportunity for Zotac 269 to actually push this down, but on the side lanes, they have to send Beyond to answer to that.
Yeah. But I do have to say, Hanoi Full Lewis, it went Full Lewis right there, right? Diving under the tier 2, especially when you saw SFN's positioning. You know, Violet went in very, very aggressively, and with the double invulnerability play, that is, I want to say it's a potential play, but it still takes a massive amount of confidence and a very, very good team to be able to follow up on that. And SOFM had to use, you know, one of his spirit rushes just to be in range of the fight. And that's an indicator, right, for our viewers that way, way too rushed by Violet. I mean, yes, it looked good because the entire team of 269 was bunched up, but the rest of your team wasn't there, and that was just too much of a stretch play, too forced by Violet, and that really cost Hanoi Full Lewis. All the Barons wiped off the field. Dragon coming up in 10 seconds. This honestly might be the game-winning team fight if it's clean from one side, because death timers are around 50+ seconds now.
Yeah, and this Dragon's going to be very important as well. If you listen to some of our other casters, Hungry Kid as well as
Yeah.
the rationale of why the 4th dragon is a very important dragon is because not only does it give you the pushing power to push into minion waves now,
Yeah.
it also gives your opponent that huge threat of that dragon 5 bar.
Yeah, the 5th dragon buff is just insane. You're right. It says we have 6 minutes to find an advantage, or
I don't
you
think
know,
it needs 6 minutes for the game to actually end.
yeah, or to be ready, right? We need to be able to tell ourselves we're ready to fight, or to get an edge to make sure they don't get that 5th dragon. 269 sticking together. That has been what has been working for them in terms of their team fight. King JJ maybe looking for some aggression. I love how they're going for it.
Yeah, there we go now. Grand Skyfall, where's it gonna land? Where are they gonna focus down? The King of War has to flash out of there. And on the back end as well, Beyond's gonna try to focus down onto the carries, but a little bit too late in this case. Shin is still alive. S2FM is still alive. They are fighting back. Beyond now trying to run for his life here. And here comes the claw, getting stunned out by the shocking orb though on the back end. King JJ, where is he gonna focus down on? As it is going to be Heaven dashing away. He doesn't want a piece of that whatsoever. Shin does pick up, King JJ in the background. And once again, Hanoi Fluids finds the hard engage onto Zotac 269.
I'm starting to rethink my analysis of the Pantheon pick right here. I mean, yes, I still think that, what I talked about in terms of the engage being messy still holds true, but the way Hanoi Fluids is playing it is honestly reckless. Right? He starts the fight with the claw down, meaning the amount of backup he's going to get is going to be so late. Once again, SOFM has to use his Spirit Rush in, like preemptively, or rather to close even just distance and not for damage. But he managed to get out because of his flash.
Yep.
And the crazy thing is that once SOFM and Violet do join the fight, they have enough threat and control with the charm and the W from Lissandra that they actually managed to draw quite a good amount of attention away from Shin. And Shin is able to basically freely auto-attack because there's these 2 other carries that you're dealing with. And the damage from both Ahri as well as Lissandra rather, comes out at much shorter intervals than the Xerath as well as LeBlanc. It's easier to time the windows of aggression, so you can work around those a bit easier, whereas for LeBlanc and Ahri, their cooldowns are much shorter. So it's drawing a lot of attention away from Shin, and it's making the team fight actually quite hectic for 269, but it's still very, very close.
Yep. And we did see Hanoi Fluids Tam for the Baron once again, but Zotac 269 came prepared this time. And let me tell you why Hanoi Fluids are winning the team fight here.
Go for it.
SFM has sold his Magi.
Oh, baby. Totally missed that. Spot on with your analysis right there. It's like, why did I even pick up this item? Why?
Why? Well, at least he's like, he's kind of the guy who was on the edge of the cliff, and someone managed to pull him up and say,
that was
just
you.
let go of the
That was you, Coach Chris.
let go of the Magi.
Just let go.
Let go of the Magi's and you'll be free.
That's right. Sometimes you just gotta have faith, right? It's okay, SFM. You can let go. But here we go.
And Skyfall getting locked down by the shocking orb though, so kind of see the counter engage coming through. Now on the hunt, now onto Violet. He's gonna use the frozen to keep himself alive. Hammer getting focused down on the back end now. King JJ taking so much damage. He is gonna go down. She's gonna be the one to pick him up. And the double kill now for the AD carry for Full Lewis here. They are gonna try to chase down onto Beyond and Celebrity. The great shocking up to lock Scary down into place here. As it is going to be Violet getting the claw down past the wall here, but they are unable to continue chasing off of that one. But it is a very successful defense coming staged by Full Lewis in this case, so they will be able to defend off the mid lane and even the top lane pusher here.
This game is ridiculous. This game is ridiculous. First of all, 269 should never have dropped that first Baron. I'm still a bit salty about that. In terms of just in terms of competitive play. Not
hey,
that
come on, man! Violet, the hero that Full Lewis.
No, not that I am biased towards Hanoi Full Lewis. I love the fact that Violet took it, but just in terms of professional play, 269 should have taken that.
Okay.
And they should have been able to crack, at least an inhibitor 3 times over, right? They've had 3 chances where I've seen kind of mistakes on the side of Hanoi Full Lewis. But 269 themselves just they seem to be rushing their windows of opportunity, and I think that the last fight, to help contextualize for our viewers, what I mean is that the claw had already been used, the ultimate had already been used by Violet, and those are going to be down, and the Spirit Rush had been used by SFM. Those skills are going to be down for 60 plus seconds. There's no need to rush and engage within 15 seconds. They really rushed that, and there was no poke that had been landed from beyond. Surge pretty much went in alone. King JJ went in without Heaven, so it was like different members of 269 saying, oh, they've used all their skills. But they're not going to come up within 15 seconds. You have a longer window to work with. If they had just been more patient to siege towards the inhibitor, I bet you they would have gotten it. As it is, they rushed it, they lost the team fight, and a third Baron goes over to Hanoi for Lewis, with Dragon spawning in about 10 seconds. I do think the fourth Dragon for Hanoi for Lewis will be gotten, or their fourth Dragon will be gotten, and then they will be matched. Four Dragons to 4 Dragons.
Oh my god, and that's just going to be crazy. The challenge for the fifth Dragon is going to be crazy.
Oh man, but they've split! Oh no!
Yep, King of War is going to be focused down on this one. I think he's definitely going to go down in this one, as it is going to be Zotac 269 now with the jungler down. Will they be able to capitalize and get buff number 5 here? Violet is going to be the focus here. He does have the double immunity here. Will he survive? Yes, he does! The Monsoon does keep him alive. He's getting focused down now for now, but the shutdown does come true. Celerity picks up the kill. Beyond pops right off the arcane for some additional damage, but I think the story has already been done. Burn and double now for Zotac 269. This might just be what they need in order to close up the game. Double this push
in.
Yep.
So much damage, especially with the 5th Dragon, and 269 once again just capitalizing on that crucial mistake of Hanoi for Lewis to split up. It's almost a cardinal sin against the Sivir composition. Stop it! For any of our viewers watching, do not ever do this in your solo queue or your ranked 5 games. You heard it here. Yeah, you've been educated, for goodness sake, right? I mean, Hanoi for Lewis had to pay the price for your lesson. But here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Never, never, ever split up your composition against a Sivir composition, unless you have some way to collapse on your own, but really, the safest thing to do is just not split up. Violet's like, I will save you all, and not quite. Yeah, 80-second death timers, that's how long this game has gone on, ladies and gentlemen. But I do think that its conclusion is very, very close.
Yeah, that's right, King of War jumping section, trying to buy some time to stop the inevitable, but Zotac 269, 4 members alive, we should be able to pick up this one. Scary does go down as well. So, after a 49-minute game, it is 269 that eventually closed out this one. So much back and forth, and I just realized, if you think about it, at the end of the day, it was who got the Baron buffs versus who got the Dragon buffs.
You are absolutely right, although I would have to say I'm still salty, so who split up versus who didn't split up? I'm still mad because that was the mistake time and time again that, honestly speaking, my emotions aside, honestly speaking,